Hello, Algebra 1 students. I am going to be reading the Chapter 3 test inequalities. And this test is actually for the 13th. You guys are going to be getting this test on the 13th of November. And I just want to read through this, give you some clarifications, maybe a little bit of guidance along the way. So here we go. For the following questions, answer in complete sentences if necessary. Be sure to answer each part of the question. So number one, what are the four types of inequalities? Make sure to list the symbol and the meaning of the symbol. So those four symbols, they kind of look like arrows. Some have lines underneath them. Half of them have lines underneath them. The other half don't. So just list those here and what they mean. For number two, and you could pause this as you need, as you go through and start it back up again. Number two, when graphing an inequality, when is an open dot used? So when would you be using an open dot? An example would be like your number three. Why is there an open dot being used here? This was from your test study guide. And then explain what the open dot represents in terms of the solution to the inequality. In other words, does this mean that the 2 is included or the 2 is not included? Could the solution set equal to or not? Explain that. And when is the closed dot used? And you have the example right here, your number one from your study guide from the day before. And explain what a closed dot represents in terms of the solution to the inequality. So same thing. What does that mean? Does that include the 5 in the answer? Would the 5 be included? Kind of go with this, what this symbol means is a big clue. Number three, how does the inequality change when multiplying or dividing by a negative number? And we did that in your review in number 9 here. We end up, getting a negative 12x is less than or equal to 264. And then what happened here? When I divided both sides by negative 12, what occurred? Explain that for number 3. Number 4, we have some problems here, and what you're going to do is you're just going to solve these problems. Remember to add 20 to both sides first, and then you're going to divide both sides by 12. Here you're going to be using the distributive property first, and then combine like terms, and then solve for x. Here you're using the distributive property first once again, so 5 times x is 5x, 5 times 3 is going to be 15, minus 4x, bring that down, bring the greater than sign down, 8 times negative x, and 8 times a negative 8, what would that be? And bring this plus 12 down. Combine your like terms, isolate the variable x, and you should figure out what x equals then. And this one, this is x minus 3 divided by 4. So you're going to multiply both sides by 4 first. And then you're going to add 3 to both sides, and that will tell you what x equals. 7 is actually a pretty quick and easy one. 5 and 6, if you happen to have a negative that you're dividing by or multiplying by, and you need to switch those signs, remember to do that. I did not work those out, so I don't know if you do or not, just reminding you. And then the last two, we have some solve and graph the following word problems. A contractor is building a rectangular walkway 4.5 feet wide by 45 feet long using square cement pavers. Each paver has an area of 2/9 of a foot squared. What is the least amount of pavers needed to make the walkway? I worked this problem out. I don't want to show that, but I want to bring some things to light here. I just drew a little diagram. I have 4.5 feet wide, and I have 45 feet long. Now, area is length times width, so length times the width gives you 202.5 feet of area. So you're going to have to be, you could equal 202, but you're going to be, less than that. Anything more than that is going to be, too much. But in me saying that, I got to tell you, when you come up with your answer, and I noticed this, you got to have enough. You got to have enough to cover all of that. So you might have a little bit of a scrap piece. So you got to take that into consideration. So you may have to round up to the nearest when you're the nearest, tile, one tile. You have to round it up to that so that you're, because you can't purchase half of a tile, in other words, or a partial tile. Moving on to number 9, you want to create a rectangular banner that has a width of 12 feet long. If you have only 80 feet of trim, what are the possible lengths that you could have for the banner? I'm assuming the trim is going to go around the banner. So we're going to have to do perimeter. So it's going to be 12 plus 12, or 12 times 2. And this length times 2. So, you're going to have, 12 times 2 plus the length times 2, L times 2. And that's all got to be less than or equal to. It could equal 80. And so you have to, make sure that you just solve for that L or solve for that X. And I ended up working that one out too. And I had to show you that one. So hopefully this helps. And good luck on this test.